another great lineup for you on this episode of Bridge TV. Performances from local bands, cool stories about what's happening in KC, and interviews with traveling national acts. So I don't even know where to begin with this next duo. They're really, really cool. Victor and Penny hail from right here in Kansas City, Missouri, but they spend most of the year on the road bringing a modern voice to the roaring 20s jazz era with their self-described antique pop. We had them into the 8160, and it was so much fun. Here it is.
No need to get up. Oh, there's mud in my cup. I'm staying in bed till all the papers get read. Day off boogie with you. Stealing my socks. Oh, I'm neglecting the clock. I'm messing around in my dressing gown. Day off boogie with you. Brewing a pot. Sturdy and hot. If it's sugar you want, honey, that's what I've got.
Oh, well, I'll take a shot, ready or not.
Oh, this bag of bones just wants to stay home.
Winding down.
Oh man, I hope it keeps on snowing. The dishes can stay
all day.
Alright, where they lay.
Till we put them away.
And then the laundry pail will have to wait a while. Day off boogie with you.
Honey, you know I love your cooking a lot.
I heard that.
Like it or not, it's melting your pot.
Oh, there's nothing to do but make dog eyes at you.
Down.
Oh man, it's really blowing. We're making a plan.
A plan.
Oh, like nobody can.
Oh man, my honey,
we could smell like a house on fire. Day off boogie with you.
Every week we ask our guests 7 questions, kind of the standard 7 questions to kind of create this image of everyone, and maybe you can relate to them. So the first question on our 7, what's the first album you remember receiving as a child or buying with your own money? Jeff?
The first album I remember receiving as a child was a Bee Gees record. I don't remember which one it was.
Nice.
The first one I bought with my own money was Van Halen's Fair Warning.
There it is.
The first album I received as a gift was, I'm telling you the truth, Sean Cassidy's "Do Ron," and the first album I bought myself, I know, was Gary Wright's Dreamweaver.
Dreamweaver.
It was a 45.
What was your first concert, first local band you remember seeing?
First concert was Men at Work at Starlight.
Wow.
I think this was 83. First local band I remember seeing was a group called Tilt.
Tilt.
Yeah.
And
There's a connection there because that was Tilt. The guy that was in Tilt was the guy that's in. I'm answering that question for you too.
Go for
But first concert was here in Kansas City was Echo and the Bunnymen.
Nice.
And then afterwards, and my date took me then to a bar called Epitaph that used to be right here under
the antenna.
Under
here.
the tenor, yeah. And we saw a band called Chicks.
Yes.
And there's some of those same people in all of these stories that we're talking
nice.
about here. So.
What's your favorite film that has anything to do with music?
Oh, we both have the same answer on this, I think. It's Erg, A Music War.
I don't know that one. I'll look it up.
You must find it.
Yeah.
If you could hop on a van or tour bus with any current touring band, who would it be?
We also came to the same one on this one too. This is like not a
This is
person.
great for time.
Yeah.
Johnny Boyd is a swing master that we got a chance to tour with last year a little bit, and I got to tell you, his tour bus is rocking.
Nice.
So that's fun.
What's a KC band or musician that's heavily impacted you?
I'm going to say all the original members of the Mongol Beach Party. All those guys, Christian and Billy and Mark and Kyle and Scott, and those guys are just a huge influence on me, and I still think about them every time I write a song.
Nice.
And I'm going to step back in the Wayback Machine. We're still talking about all the same time frame. A band called the Psycho Welders that was prominent in Kansas City, and that was the first time it was my friends, and I saw them on stage doing their original music, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can do that too.
Yeah,
And so
that's awesome. That's going back. That's the old guard.
Yes.
On a
yeah,
couple
this
of
is like Sin City time.
Yeah.
You know.
What song do you wish you would have written?
Anything by They Might Be Giants.
Wow.
I like that answer.
Well, for my retirement fund, I wish I'd written Brown Eyed Girl, but for art, I wish I'd written Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
Complete this sentence. Without music, I would be.
Either an astronaut or a really highly sought-after barista.
Without music, I would be less joyful.
Less joyful. All good answers.
My love calls for 2 tablespoons of sugar for you, but all I have is salt.
Well, I hope you like my salt. I'm not sweet, it's not my fault. Well, I hope you like my salt. I'm not sweet, it's not my fault.
My love calls for 3, a little honey for baby and me, but all I have is salt.
Well, I hope you like my salt. I'm not sweet, it's not my fault. Well, I hope you like my salt. I'm not sweet, it's not my fault.
I like cooking with you.
I like cooking with you.
There's nothing I'd rather do.
I like cooking with you.
I like cooking with you.
Meet me in the kitchen about 1:45. My love calls for 2
tablespoons of sugar for you, but still there's always salt.
Hey,
I
good.
like cooking with you.
What you got cooking? Well, I
There's
like
nothing I'd rather
baking
do.
pancakes and bacon. Well, I like cooking with you. Meet me in the kitchen about 1:45.
My love calls for 2 tablespoons of sugar for you, but all I have is salt.
Okay, so each week we've been sharing with you our stories from our digital series, Show Me, and this week will be no exception. Following a local duo with a national name, here's a different kind of local artist who has made a name for himself on the skateboard scene, Shawn Malto.
To do it on that scale was an incredible feeling for me. It was a huge hurdle that has been, couple years of being a pro. I could never get over that. I could never win a contest, and I ended up winning one of those. And the next year I won the championship of Street League in 2011.
We can build upon the show. We'll follow every song until we go.
one of the biggest steps for me to take to, you know, advance my career to the next level. And now, just starting from here out, I just got to keep that going and keep advancing and keep pushing it. Living in like a small town, you know, I grew up in Leavenworth. I had 3 older brothers, and so I kind of followed them into whatever they did. But one of them, my brother Chris, started skating, and me and Justin were just like, wow, we want to do that too, you know? And then it kind of became a battle. Like, one of my brothers learned something, and I was like, I gotta do it. I can't be like the little guy left behind. I can't be like the younger brother trying to catch up. I was like, I gotta be better than these guys. And as the younger brother, that's what you gotta do. You gotta, like, you know, be tough. You try to hang with the older crowd. I remember when I was 12 or 13 years old, I was at Warped Tour, and they always set up this little ramp there. And I was skating with a bunch of people, like all the locals and stuff. And I remember looking at Dan Askew, and I was like, can I ride for Escapist? Like, how do you do that, whatever? And he was like a little thrown off because I just came up and asked him as the 13-year-old kid. Escapist was, and still is, like, an amazing shop. Like, not just for Kansas City, but for the whole country. And so, when I got on Escapist, that's kind of when it started all evolving for me. And it was just a dream come true to even get to the shop level for me, and that's all I really cared about. And just having a crew to skate here with and to, like, be a part of was an amazing feeling. So I turned pro when I was 18 for this company called Girl Skateboards. And this was the first graphic. This was when I was 18 years old. They made this graphic for me. They're like, you're a pro, and that was, you know, it's like tearing up at the dinner table when they said it. But so this one is special to me for a lot of different reasons. Man, the skate scene here it's small, but it's really strong, and that's why I love it. We can go to the skate parks, and you don't have to worry about, you know, people being mad at people, or like, it's not like a high school lunch table, you know? It's like we're all together, we're all just skating and having fun, and we all support each other too. You know, Kansas City isn't the most major city in the world, so we all are kind of like a little, kind of have that underdog sense of a scene, and we're just trying to grow and kind of show the world like our situation and how we skate. You know, a lot of people don't really get it. They think LA is the Mecca, and then once they kind of start looking into it and people travel here, it relaxes me to like be at home in Kansas City. And you know, once they kind of like look at that and they're like, really? Like, you can make it work? I'm like, and not only does it work, but it works well. All my friends are here. The shop, you know, we have a park. The scene's so good. It's just an incredible place to be creative and to live out your dream. It's truly like an amazing city to actually live and to like skate, and like not even outside of skating. Like, I love just walking around and being a part of the community.
my time as a home brewer. I've homebrewed for over 10 years now, and any home brewer knows you get pretty tired of cleaning bottles and scraping those labels off.
And we love using that name because I think it's also kind of it's a nod to the homebrewing roots of Torn Label, but also kind of a directive for its future, kind of a reminder of the sort of spirit of experimentation and creativity of homebrewing, even as we scaled up and brewed beers in a much larger system. The birth of Torn Label was kind of a collaborative process, really. I had a partner from my time as a film producer in Los Angeles, and we started talking about what a project that was centered around craft beer might look like. And we had a lot of options, and he kind of gave us free reign, like Chad Troutwine and Carol Troutwine, the other founding partners. And I pulled in Travis because he was the most creative and fantastic homebrewer that I've ever known in my years and years seeds.
Craft beer is the most collaborative and friendly industry you could ever be a part of. Brewers are always helping each other out, willing to share, willing to help. In the opening process, we asked questions of everybody in town, and they were always willing to help us out. And we're trying to do the same for everyone else that's in planning right now.
Our flagships that we do all year, Alpha Pale, which is kind of a sessionable pale ale, but hopped like a strong IPA or double IPA. House Brew, which is a coffee wheat stout that we partner with Valmaes, the local coffee roaster, and use their Sumatra toddy. And Monk and Honey is our version of a Belgio-American table beer. We launched with another beer called Guajillo, which is a Belgian quadruple with Guajillo chilies. Obviously a very kind of unexpected collision of flavors. That was a fun one for us to launch with because it showed right off the bat we wanted something different and kind of ambitious.
For me, designing a recipe starts with flavor, so I like to approach it from the end and work my way backwards. So I will try and figure out a flavor profile that I want. I love to cook, so it could be an ingredient I've used in cooking, like Guajillo chilies or blood orange, or it could be our Monk and Honey, which came from an experience that I had drinking beer with monks in Belgium. So we start from a very abstract point and work it down and try and find something unique and creative in the actual recipe. We knew that we wanted to be a production brewery, and to survive as a production brewery, you have to, one, have firm footing in your local area, so we knew we wanted to focus on Kansas City first. We also have to be able to support the brewery, so we knew that we needed to have our sights set in the future on being somewhat regional.
And I think the key is thoughtful, careful growth. We are sure from the start that we do want to grow and to be in places like St. Louis and Lawrence and Topeka down the road at some point.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I grew up. It almost feels like it's not complete until I'm on tap at the bar that I grew up loving.
Best known as the co-founder of the influential LA punk band X, rock music icon, poet, actor, and Renaissance man John Doe continues to evolve as a solo artist. We were really fortunate to have him in the studio before his Knucklehead show earlier this year. You're in for a treat.
We're just so excited today to have John Doe and the band in the studio, and of course playing tonight at Knuckleheads and X, the Knitters, the Flesh Eaters, and of course the solo career. John, thanks for coming in and taking the time.
Pleasure. We were in town.
Yeah. It's not that big of a jaunt.
We didn't have to make a special trip or anything. It's pretty handy.
X is such a interesting thing to me as I was getting ready for the interview. X is such, there's just such a minimalist title there that I think interviewers just can't live with it. So they've renamed the band. It's not X anymore. It's always X, the legendary punk band.
Yeah, from Los Angeles.
Yeah. And if every
we kind of actually, that was one of the points of naming the band that, because at the time it was the Somebodies, the Talking Heads, the Ramones. It wasn't the Blondie, but it was like, a lot of the, the Screamers, the Weirdos, the Germs, and Exene came up with the name.
So if you took all of the punk bands from back in that era and put them all in a cage, you'd be the last band standing.
Gratefully, we are. All the original members were playing like the next day after this tour ends. The sound man, Johnny, and I are flying back to San Jose and playing an X show that next night.
I'm guessing that it's not really a problem for you to shift gears.
Oh, it takes an adjustment But you know, having made that deal with the devil years ago, it's easy. You know, he just it's not too hard, but it is something.
So you've gotten to that place in your career where you've got the best of John Doe this far. And does that make you feel anything in particular that you've gotten to the point in your career where you've got that best of?
Well, it was kind of my idea, along with some other friends that said, you know, you ought to do that at some point. And after the last studio record, which Cindy was on, Cindy Wasserman, here, my cohort, I realized that I'd put out more records with solo than I had with X, which I'm known for first, and so I thought, what the hell? And then Yep Rock said, sure, let's do it, and they, you know, they owned some of the masters, and a bunch of the other ones were smaller record companies that were happy to just have their stuff out there again, and it does make you look back a little bit, gives you a little retrospective on it, and I was pleased that nothing sounded terribly dated. And the ones that did, we didn't use. We didn't do that, really.
You've talked a lot about the change in your songwriting process. Did that kind of become more real when you looked back at the catalog in such a focused way? You think about that?
Yeah. Actually, I would have made a completely different record if I could have used just all the Yep Rock stuff from the last 4 records. That's actually what I consider the best. And I was picking and choosing out of the previous 4 or 5 records, you know, what I thought went along with that. But yeah, sometime 2006, 2007, I kind of got a handle on a more, I don't know, blues country hybrid.
You know, it's a great package. I can't recommend it strongly enough. I was listening to it repetitively while I was getting ready for the interview, and even when I was being distracted by something else that I had to do, there are songs on there that just grab you and pull you back in. It's quite a body of work. You should be really proud.
Well, thanks.
You got a great band in here today too, Jesse Dayton, who's going to be not only playing with you, but also opening the show tonight at Knuckleheads. Chris Rhodes and Cindy Wasserman. We'd love to hear some music.
Well, let's do it. Since we were talking about X, we're going to start with an X song. This is, as I wrote it, I guess I imagined that I could be Woody Guthrie or Johnny Cash, which I wasn't, but that's okay. But this is that version of this song. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Drive by my house late at night. You can't see from the freeway above. No silhouette but a light left on, burning there for love. Smoke is rising from the back, coming out my back door. I'm inside, sound asleep, cigarette on the floor, burning there for love. Well, I can still remember a couple of years ago when the smoke and flames from our names was a burning house of love. A burning that rusted nail over our front door is where I hung our tears in a ring. And I threw that horseshoe into the weeds. I see what luck can bring. 'Cause you're in your bed and I'm in mine. Honey, the sun of town. I think I might take a ride and burn your love house down like a burning house of love. Burning house of love. Burning house of love. Burning house of love.
That was great. Really
Thanks.
enjoyed that. John Doe in the studios here at the Bridge, and you've got such an interesting, varied career. Kind of wanted to go back and look at the very beginning. You were born in Decatur, Illinois. Got inspired by, among other things, the Stones, particularly Sticky Fingers era, the band. Started picking up the bass, but I'm guessing here. Maybe the real springboard for who you are as a performer might be poetry.
Not as a performer, maybe as a writer or creator, as a writer for sure.
I think it's like one of the things that just really surprised me, though, because not very many people recognize that you have a degree in poetry.
Well, sort of.
Kind of?
If you can call Antioch College and the way that I went to it a degree, it was in writing.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of thing, even back in 70, whatever it was, 5, you had to write your own degree. It was that kind of hippy-dippy stuff, I did, yeah. I wrote for about, I dropped out of school and wrote for about 2 years and then thought, if I want to do this, it'd be good to know something about what I'm doing. And there was a great teacher, Grace Cavalieri, that said, here's where you're being honest and here's where you're, BSing yourself. And this is kind of a good image and, stick with that stuff. But I think the earliest stuff I listened to as a kid was folk music. Because back in the 60s, that's what they gave kids, which was all about murder and death, and Leadbelly being, one of my early heroes, being a murderer and things like that. And so all those were kind of a lot of meat words in there, a lot of cinematic vision, stuff, visionary and just, rich stuff to think about.
And X, in a way, kind of formed out of your meeting at the L.A. workshop, the poetry workshop.
Yeah, the Venice Poetry Workshop, which Tom Waits went to and Bukowski went to probably twice and then said, I'm busy. I got to go to the bar. Excuse me, I'm busy.
That's funny.
But yeah, a lot of L.A. poets went to the Venice Poetry Workshop, and Exene and I went there for the first time, the same time, and kind of sat next to each other. And yeah, it was fate, I think.
You're still the poetry editor at BlueRailroad.com.
If that exists, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. They haven't contacted me lately, so I don't know.
You're still on the main page.
Yeah, well, all right.
The internet never dies.
Yeah, when was the last entry on that? Like 94?
Well, you can always, now
Yeah,
that if you ever need to, you can go back and pick
right.
that
If
up.
I ever need another hyphen, I can put that on my resume.
Absolutely. So you formed X, and I really love the quotes that I've read from you in different places about what punk is or is not.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just seems to be, I hate to put words in your mouth.
Oh, what is punk rock?
Yeah, to you.
It's all in your mind. It's just, it's freedom. It's, do it yourself, and not taking what the media or the government or your expectations are and just fulfilling that prophecy. It's just saying, to hell with everybody, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And it's, it's no different than, what painters in the 1950s or, probably musicians in the 1800s did. It's like, well, who says I can't do that? Watch this.
Sounds a lot like rock and roll before it got corporatized.
Yeah. And there's a lot of that going on now, since it's all very democratized, and you can get straight to the fans, and the biggest job now is just to cut through the static because there's so much going on. But yeah, I mean, what punk rock is not is just testosterone fueled FU. It's not that. It's much more freedom, and although I do like Green Day, and I like what they've spawned because it's gotten to a youth audience, and it's kind of like controlled mayhem, mayhem within a certain boundary.
John Doe and his band are in our studios, and we'd love to hear another song if we could.
Okay, we're going to do a song that Cindy has on a record called Bright Morning Stars. Is that? Tell them about it, Cindy, won't you?
My band's called Dead Rock West, and we have a record called Bright Morning Stars, and Peter Case produced it.
Cool.
This is a Staple Singer song. This may
be the last time.
This may
be the last time, children.
Oh, this may
be the last time.
You know, it
May be the last time. I don't know.
laying there in the morning while I'm
great. The John Doe Band featuring Cindy Wasserman on that particular track, live in the Bridge Studios. And, you know, John, you've got a really, really, really cool gig coming up on February 6th.
Yeah.
Music Cares, tribute to Bob Dylan.
Oh, yeah.
You got some good company.
I don't know what I'm doing there. They figured they had to reach out to one of the struggling musicians to, Bruce Springsteen and Nora Jones and Black Keys and all kind of fancy.
Jack White back.
Jack White, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a ton of people.
Yeah.
Really good company. You've met Bob a few times.
Yeah, first time was in Minneapolis. I think Seth, his kid, wanted to come see X, and we were playing in this very strange place, the Guthrie Theater, which is a super famous Shakespeare theater in Minneapolis, and I have no idea why we were booked there. We were completely aghast that everybody was sitting down. They weren't, drinking and smoking and things like that. And Bob came there and came up to a hotel room, and we sat around and talked about fishing.
Yeah.
For about half hour, 45 minutes.
Was it a relief to talk about fishing? And
I started the conversation. I figured that saying Planet Waves was my favorite record would go nowhere. You just go let's leave. And we had just been fishing with Exine's dad down in Florida. And I asked him what he was doing up there, and I found out later from Jacob that he would take all of his kids and go up to Minnesota, up to he had a farm up near Hibbing, I suppose, and they go up there all summer. And Jacob said he'd come back home, and his kids, his friends were like 13, 14, getting out of rehab, and he'd go like, "Whoa, I just been hanging out at the farm. All right, this is strange." But the very end of that night. Bob Dylan turns to Billy Zoom and says, "Hey, do you ever do much studio work?" Meaning, like, you want to go into the recording studio with me? And Billy goes, "Nope." And Bob gets up and walks out. I said, "Okay, well, all right." And it was like two icebergs passing in the night. It was just so hilarious. Nope.
That is so funny.
And I'm watching it like a ping pong match, going like, I can't believe I just saw that going on. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I've talked to so many people who have gone out on tour with Bob and never had a chance to say a single solitary word to him.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it's kind of great to...
Yeah, I'm pretty fortunate. We run into each other a few times. And I guess he chose the people on this Music Cares honoring, like a person of the year. He chose it on people who did covers of his songs that he liked.
You did a couple for I'm Not There.
Yeah.
Lip synced by Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Which,
how did that feel? With a huge afro. It's very strange.
Yeah.
I didn't see any of it. I heard that, like, after we recorded it, I heard that he was going to be the person I was singing for.
So do you know what you're going to be doing?
I'm going to be doing that song, Pressing On.
Very cool.
Which I suppose we could do now, although it would give a decidedly religious tint, slant to this performance. But let's not.
You're in control.
I don't want to give people the wrong idea that,
we cede all control to the artist here.
Jesus Christ is my savior.
It's the other thing that we just have not touched on, and maybe I'm Not There is a good entry point, but you've got such a varied acting career to go along with it. And even when you weren't on camera, it was your voice coming out of the jukebox in The Bodyguard. It was such a seminal moment in that film. But for all of your credits, everything from Great Balls of Fire to I've got the listing here, Boogie Nights, Roadhouse, all of these great films, the thing that absolutely kills me is that the thing that matters to your daughters is that you got to make out with Sandra Bullock.
They got some bragging rights for
it
for
is
a year
bragging rights, but it's sort of like, it's like, yay, Dad, stepping out on Mom. It's like, it just felt a little odd when I read that one.
No, that was just, they were able to say that, my dad hung out with, it wasn't just making out with, but hung out with Sandy Bullock.
Yeah, but I feel like everybody listening today now has 1 degree of separation to Sandra Bullock's lips.
Absolutely.
So that's like a really pretty special thing.
So much pressure, John.
I know.
The funny thing about that is that I had this silly blonde hairstyle because the guy that I was playing was kind of a D-bag, and so I got this hairdo, and I went home, and my youngest daughter was maybe 4 or 5, and I came home, and we sat. She looked at me, and she burst into tears. It was so sad. So I sat down on the steps with her outside, and I hugged her and said, "It's going to be okay. It's me, really." And then she was crying, and then she'd like look back while she was still in my arms, and she'd look at me again. She'd burst into tears again. It's like, "You're not my dad. What have you done with him?" But it was. It was fun.
Before we get into another song, I have one last thing that I just want to touch on briefly because I just thought, it's so true. And but you had a period for a couple of years where you were relatively inactive and as a songwriter, and the problem really was that you were struck with, that most horrible of artists' curse. You were happy.
Yeah. Still happening, sort of.
Yeah.
I'm just less motivated. But I've kind of figured out how to work on songs where it's not just soft and has no meaning, but the characters have a little more satisfaction, a little more happiness, and it's a challenge.
It was funny. I'd never heard an artist talk about the problem of being too happy, and I think that the phrase that you used was the writing for you meant going back to the well of sorrow. But as a music consumer, there have been lots of records where I listen to it, and it's like, well, this is okay, but it'd be a much better album if the artist was a little less happy.
Yeah.
It's like what this person needs is a good heartbreak.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's my version of not going to AA. I still have a drink or two, and so that hasn't, getting sober hasn't ruined my career. Just being a little happier.
Yeah.
Not to say that. I mean, I'm very happy that anybody who gets sober gets sober. If that's what you're meant to do, then I'm all for it.
I'm trying to envision what a 12-step program applied to happiness would look like.
Yeah, really.
What you'd have to do to go through to become unhappy again.
No, it's always right around the corner. It is always around. You can, maybe it takes a little more imagination. If I was a better poet, then I'd be able to write things, about anything, about, the bowl of cherries or the red wagon and things like that.
Well, I have to tell you, I had a really good time getting ready for this interview. I've had a really good time here today, and I can't thank you
me too.
enough. I would love to hear one more song if we could.
Yeah.
John Doe Band.
Here's a song that someone told me it was their wedding song, and I thought, did you really listen to this song? Did you really? Because it was meant to be a very sad song, but it actually has, in real life, has turned out to have kind of a happy ending. So here we go.
You are the hole in my head. I am the pain in your neck. You are the lump in my throat. I am aching in your heart. We are tangled, we are stolen, we are living with things ahead.
You are something in my eye, and I am the shiver down your spine. And you are the lick on my lips. I am on the tip of your tongue. We are tangled,
We are stolen, we are buried. lump in my throat. I am the aching in your heart.
That's an absolute classic. I have always really, really, really loved that song.
Thanks.
John Doe Band here today. John Doe, our guest, and John has a long history of involving female vocalists in everything from X to his solo projects, and Cindy Wasserman filling that role quite ably here today. Some of the great guitar licks that you've been hearing from Jesse Dayton, who opens tonight's show at Knuckleheads, and Chris Rhodes on bass today. Can't thank you again enough for what you've done
Easy and
today.
fun. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, appreciate it very much. The John Doe Band here on the Bridge.
And here we are at the end of another hour of Bridge TV. I'm Sarah Bradshaw. Thanks for turning on, tuning in, and listening local. Maybe